So over the past 11 months, we've been working with our departments and agencies to identify various high-value data sets. And we do that through a few different channels. One, we look at FOIA requests. What are people looking for from the government? What are they asking for? Our buildings department, for example, was receiving lots and lots of FOIA requests for building permits, violations, plans. So an easy win would be to start using this platform and open data to make that information publicly available and refresh that on a daily basis. So we have building permits that are available from 2006 going forward, and again, that's updated on a daily basis. We've worked with the police department to make 10 years of crime incident data available, which has been called unprecedented.
Yep.
And it's the largest data set, I believe, of its kind currently, machine readable. So you've got this refreshing every day. We've created several different views of this data since it is so large. You can access filtered views by years. As staff is showing you now, you can pull up a map, which is showing you a clustered view of crime incidents across the city. So this data set and building permits and other things like it represent a great opportunity for folks to start really getting a picture into what's going on with their city. So that transparency piece that we started talking about. It also provides, because of the breadth of the information that's available, good opportunities for journalists and academics to really dig into this data and start identifying patterns. Previously, they may have needed an NDA in order to access this data. Now it's readily available to anyone. Another popular data set of ours is food inspections. We work with the public health department to make that data available. And again, this is something that is regularly requested through FOIA and other channels. We also do take suggestions for data sets via Twitter and via the portal itself. So we listen to those suggestions that people are making and work on getting those queued up to release via the portal. The staff is showing the food data set right now.
Yeah, I've got the food inspection data set, and this is a pretty large data set. And one of the things that you do really well, Danielle, is allow residents in Chicago and users of this data to contextualize this data and make it relevant to each individual. And you allow them to create personalized views of this data, whether it's a map representation of crimes in their neighborhood or something that matters to them. But then you also allow them to share it with others. Can you maybe talk to us a little bit about how you manage that process?
Sure. So, and we do allow folks to create filtered views. Once they've created their filtered views through the system, they need to have an account via the Socrata account. They can save those filtered views, and they can embed those filtered views in another website or share links via social media or email those links to folks. So if you've got something that you're interested in, if you just want to see all of the most recent failed inspections for the last week and from the food inspections data set, you can set that up and be regularly notified when it's updated as well.
That's great. So you manage this. You manage the moderation process for these views, and later on, when we cover the metrics, the users of your site have really embraced this and have created, I think, over 1,000 personalized views that they are sharing with others.
Yeah, and that's very exciting. We're very happy to see people using it and making the data meaningful to them.
Awesome. So back to the site, Danielle, you've put a lot of really high-impact data sets up on this site. You've mentioned crimes, restaurant inspections. I believe you're also making some 311 data available, and it ties into other programs in the city. Perhaps you could talk a little bit about the significance of this 311 data.
Sure. Again, this is another area where residents want to know what the status of their open service requests are. So we've begun publishing data sets for our most popular requests. You can find out what the status is of your request for the pothole you reported, the tree trim you requested, the garbage cart that went missing. So all of these are available through the portal, and you can also see there are map views of these. So if you're about to report something, you can see if someone has already reported that same pothole by looking at one of these maps. And
Very
then,
cool. Let me try and pull up one of these maps, Danielle. Perhaps this vacant and abandoned buildings map, which is part of the 311 stream.
Sure. So again,
There
this shows all of the vacant and abandoned buildings that have been reported to 311.
Very cool. And Danielle, you're publishing a lot of these data sets. These are high-value data sets. They're also very large data sets. I mean, the crimes data set alone is probably 5 million rows of data that you're publishing all the time. How do you manage this process, considering the volume and the depth of this data? How do you automate it? How do you make it sustainable? Maybe you can, I know you guys care a great deal about making this program sustainable. Can you share with our audience how you do that?
Absolutely. So it is one of our goals to make this sustainable. We have a relatively small team, and it's, if something were to happen to one of us, God forbid, we want to make sure these things carry on. So we have set up a series of ETLs from our source systems and are using the Socrata API to automatically refresh or update the data sets on a daily basis. So many of these data sets are updated automatically. Crimes on a daily basis, as we've already mentioned, building permits, the public right-of-way parade permits on a daily basis. On this main page that you can see here, street closure permits. We also have a couple of data sets that are updated every 15 minutes. So our towed and relocated vehicles data sets are updated every 15 minutes automatically. Another tool we use in that arsenal is the ability to log errors and send notifications when these jobs have run successfully or if they haven't run successfully. So we get notifications with error messages, and we're able to follow up right away and begin investigating and solving whatever the issue is, either on the source system side or on the other end.
So there's an important philosophical issue here, and I'm watching Twitter, and I think we have a bunch of open data people who are listening. If you architect something so that it's based on ETLs and it's based on automation, yes, you're creating sustainability, but at the same time you're creating a condition where you have to opt out of it, versus if you've architected to manually be fed, then you're intentionally feeding it. If we're going to create an effective open data architecture throughout the country and throughout cities, we need that sort of sustainability. You need that automation, so there doesn't have to be intent. There would only be intent to turn it off. And I think that's a real subtle but important distinction as people are considering how to architect their open data movement.
Yeah, Fred, I think that's very important, because it shows in the volume of data sets that you guys are able to publish, and just the number of data sets alone has, I think, has gone up by a factor of 3 in the last few months alone. And you're able to update this really critical data if you're going to make it meaningful. Data has a shelf life, and you guys provide it in near real time in some cases, which makes this data actually useful to people.